Welcome to Build Series in New York City. I'm Lauren Muraski from HuffPost with our next guest. KT Tunstall hit the scene in 2004 with the singles Black Horse and a Cherry Tree and Suddenly I See. Now the singer who hails from Scotland is out with her 6th album called Wax. Please, everyone, welcome KT Tunstall.
Yo, yo, yo. Thank you, everyone.
As you can see, we are all excited to have you at Build today.
This is super cool. It's so nice to see everybody.
I know, and as you can see, we're going to be performing too. I won't be performing, but KT will be performing.
Oh, you don't know. You don't know what I have in store for you.
I'll be bringing up like a tambourine or something. I don't know. But we're so excited to have you here like a few days after the new album comes out. This is the second in a trilogy.
It is, which I didn't actually know I was making until after the first one had come out. And it was Skin, my last record in 2016, was all about the spirit overcoming really difficult, challenging circumstances and not only being better for it, but actually being grateful that you've gone through that because you learn so much about yourself, about other people, about the world. You kind of plug into gratitude for simple things. And I was sitting in a park in Nashville, Centennial Park, attempting to meditate. I opened my eyes and I just had this super strong vision that it should be the first in a trilogy focusing on the soul, the body, and the mind. And it was just, I work really well under pressure. So I was like, I need to set myself a challenge.
Yeah. And here it is.
Yeah.
So the other one was kind of born out of some not so great things in your life. How does this one?
My dad passed, I got divorced, I sold everything I owned, and I moved continent.
You sold everything you owned?
Just sold up and started again. Was just the rock and roll cliche. Looked in the mirror and just went, I have really nice houses, I have nice cars, I have a lot of money, and I'm miserable. And this is bad news. I don't want to be that. That's a bad Wikipedia page right there. So
bad behind the music.
Like, there needs to be more underneath of what happens. So it was just really a knowing that I needed to start chapter 2.
And how is chapter 2 going for you?
Chapter 2 is rocking my world.
Yes.
It's so good. And I have to say, too, for anyone, particularly women, but anyone who's worried about turning 40, don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
It's so good.
You're talking to a good person because I'm looking 6 months and looking at 40s.
So what I found out was, looking back in it, the 20s, you think you know everything, you don't know anything. Your 30s, you realize you don't know anything and you're really anxious about it. Your 40s, you're like, I don't know anything and there's so much to learn and I look really banging. And the body's gonna go south soon, so let's take some photographs of it. And it's just, you kind of sift out. I think there's a face-to-face with mortality as you get older and you realize that you don't have all the time in the world. And you realize where you're wasting time. Yeah. And then you go toof, 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 toof. And then you do the stuff you want to do. That's what I've done, and it's been the most rejuvenating experience.
Did that drive a lot of the music on this album with the body kind of theme? Yeah,
so it's not really an album about body image. It's about the follow-up from the first record, which was about the soul and the spirit. And there's this great Kurt Vonnegut quote from one of his books, Bluebeard, and it says, my soul knows my meat is doing bad things and is embarrassed, but my meat keeps on doing dumb, stupid things. And it's like, basically, we're these amazing, transcendent souls having a physical experience, and then we just are still human.
Yeah.
And we have to drive the meat car through this life. And we're gonna fail. We're gonna, there's flaws, there's inbuilt flaws, there's conditioning, there's all these crazy aspects to being a physical human being that is constantly pulling on our wish to transcend. And so the physical part of it, which really goes hand in hand for me with playing an electric guitar, that instrument for me speaks so much of physicality. And it's really about that struggle, and that it's something that we often call flaws, and it's not a lot of the time. It's just being a human being.
Yeah, and I think that's a takeaway. There's so many great songs on the record.
Thank you.
River is great. It seems like
Emotional.
That one means a lot to you.
Yeah, it really does.
What's the stemming behind that?
The interesting thing about the river, I will finish a song in half an hour usually, and there's a lot of space either side of it. But I'm usually what I've always called a lightning bolt writer. I just get the lyrics and the words. Praise be. I get the lyrics and the music and the words together, and maybe a title. Sometimes I don't totally finish it, but it's much harder to finish if you don't finish it all in a oneer, I find. And The River was actually written about 10 years ago. It was written during the writing sessions for Drastic Fantastic with Martin Terefe, who are Other Side of the World with, Funny Man. And I knew it was a really meaningful, powerful song. And we'd recorded it as it sort of would easily just be seen as a kind of emotional ballad. And I was just waiting for the right time. And I knew that putting electric guitar at the heart of that song would just turn it into this beast where you'd still have the emotion, but you would have this kind of raginess to it, which I think is something all of us are experiencing, where we're seeing a lot of injustice. We're seeing there's a lot of stress upon us from the outside world. And so really it's just about that feeling where you want to jump off the high cliff as a kid and dive bomb into the water and wash clean of anything worrying you, you know?
Yeah. Wow, I'm glad I asked about that.
Yeah.
I like Human Being as well.
It's maybe my favorite song on the record.
Well, it's mine too.
Thank you. And that, for me, every record sort of has a mission statement that is what the album's about. On Kin, it took me so long to get here, but here I am. And Human Being, the subject is really when you've just met someone and it's sensual and sexy and full of lust, and you're showing part of yourself that you want to show, and you're reaching that doorway where you're going to have to show them the stuff that you're maybe not as proud of or that you're worried about. And it's that moment of decision of showing the honest, just honestly showing all of yourself and being scared that maybe you're going to lose something.
Completely relatable.
Yeah, I think for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody at some point in our life.
Metaphorical and literal turning of the lights on, you know?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
You also have a song about David Bowie, inspired by the day he died. This
record is produced by Nick McCarthy, one of the founders of Franz Ferdinand, great band.
Yeah.
And thank you. And Nick and I, we had a week put in the diary where we were going to do what's called pre-production, where you listen to demos, you check out songs that you're inspired by, you try out some sounds. And we didn't do that at all. We just wrote together for 5 days straight. And we wrote 4 songs that went on the record. And one of them was the night that Bowie died. And he had these chords in a folder on his computer. And it said, the night that Bowie died. And I said, that's crazy. Why is it called that? He said he'd written the chords, gone home, came in the next day and had found out that he'd passed away. So he just renamed this chord progression. And he said, we can call it something else. But I said, no, that's an amazing name for a song. And I probably would never have chosen that from the offset. But it's great. And it was one of those, the last time I remember that kind of collective hive grief was when Princess Diana died when I was a kid. Yeah. And it was like the whole world suddenly, even if they didn't really care much for Princess Diana, everybody fell into this collective space of loss. Mm-hmm. And I think it's when someone is that impactful globally, and Bowie certainly was, and I think the same thing happened where people sort of didn't contemplate life without him. Yeah. And it just reminds you of everything you've lost and everyone you've lost. And so it's a really powerful feeling. And Nick and I basically started crying writing the song. We're like, I think this is a good song. I think it's a good song.
It's a keeper.
He was like, I'm going to go and call my dad.
Yeah, because it took it beyond with David Bowie. It's like you said, anybody in your life. And
it's about loss, really. Yeah. And also, once the song was written, I realized it wasn't just about people who've died. It was actually about loss in your living life with people that you've lost from your immediate existence that are still around, but you haven't got them in your life anymore. And there's, even if it's someone you don't want in your life anymore, there's always a shedding that happens when you lose another person from your experience, you know?
For sure. Can you believe it's been, I don't know how many, 13 years since Suddenly I See hit the scene?
The weirdest thing, which I never saw coming, was 20-year-olds coming up to me at shows going, like, shaking, going, I've been listening to you my whole life. Like, what? You're a person. What are you talking about? And like their parents were listening to the record when they're 4.
Yeah.
And I never, ever considered that in a million years. And it's a beautiful new relationship with younger people who are still connecting with the material. And it's a huge compliment when someone who's a completely different demographic from you, age group from you, gets what you're talking about and, you know, relates to them. But the most exciting is when these young people come up and say that they've taken up writing or playing because of the records. And that's really cool.
That's really cool to hear. I mean, that's a song. I mean, I remember it, of course, being all over the radio and everywhere, but it was also in Devil's Wear Prada.
New York.
And yeah, exactly.
So
right
my
here.
manager calls me and goes, Katie, enjoy this because it's probably never going to happen again. And he didn't mean that my songs wouldn't be in movies because they have been. Yeah. He said what he meant was a song start to finish, no edits and no dialogue over the top. The entire opening of a Meryl Streep movie. It was insane. It's just the coolest. And like, you know, it's just become this total modern classic movie. And I just see tweets and posts from people who are, you know, I just catwalked my way to work through New York City listening to Suddenly I See, and it's just amazing. And it was really cool as well as a lesson in seeing how songs can be completely interpreted in a different way. Because it really worked for the story, but it wasn't what I'd written it about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't even realize that Hillary Clinton used it in her campaign.
Yeah. I mean, I was, at the time, I live in America now. I'm not an American citizen, so I still can't vote. And I will say that I would prefer a democratic government. So it was nice to be part of that process. But I have to say, I think it's really diabolical that music is used politically with no permission whatsoever. It's all right to use my music at the end of being a great president. Don't use it at the beginning when we don't know what you're going to do. Okay?
Because Donald Trump used one of your songs too.
Yes, I needed a spiritual shower.
Yeah.
No, you're not the one for me. I have songs that fit the bill. Anyway.
Switching gears, you have been spending a lot of time writing for movies. What's the joy you get out of that?
So it was really born out of when everything went crazy and I just really needed, I did feel like slimy Keanu Reeves waking up in the pod in The Matrix. I was like, okay, I have made all these decisions myself. I have somehow managed to totally make a mess of it because I'm not happy. And it really took me just looking in the mirror, unplugging and going, oh, there's this stuff that I've been completely in denial of and I need to heal. I need some time out. So I moved to Venice Beach, California, because it was really the only place on all of my travels where any day of the week you could be a bum. It was just everywhere else, everyone's busy, and then takes the weekend off. My life is never going to be like that because I have to work at the weekend. Yeah. So it was the only, and it'd be in London like a Wednesday afternoon in the park and everyone's like that. You know, evils, because I have the day off. I'm like, you have your weekend. And so Venice was great. It was a real sanctuary and it was still a metropolis, but there was a really slow pace to being there. And I actually thought I wouldn't make another album for 10 years. I was just going to take time out. I was done. I was pretty broken. But I still wanted to be creative. And I was really lucky to be accepted onto the Sundance Film Institute's Film Composers Lab. And so they do labs for actors, directors. So Guillermo del Toro, Quentin Tarantino have come through the directors' labs. Many, many brilliant people have come through these things. And so it was a real honor to be part of that family. And it was funny. I was having my breakfast one morning at Skywalker Ranch, George Lucas's, it's like where you go when you die if you've been a good sound engineer. And I was having my breakfast and I put my breakfast dish in the sink and the magic brownies come and take it away. And this big voice said, "What do we do with our dishes?" And it was a big guy with a beard. I said, "Oh, the brownies come. It's fine. Just leave it in the sink." I turn around. It's Guillermo del Toro is up there, recording the music for, I think it was Pacific Rim or something. Yeah. But I was thrown in at the deep end. You get given a little room and you have to compose. You have we had Harry Gregson Williams, James Newton Howard, Alan Silvestri, who did the music for Back to the Future. Yes. Amazing luminaries come up and basically tutor you in film composition. And it was just extraordinary. And it was so good because it was doing something that wasn't about me. It was just about music. And I just got nominated for my first film score.
Yes!
It's a short film with the brilliant Natalie Emmanuel, if you're a Game of Thrones fan. So that was really fulfilling. And the great thing about film score is that I can completely step away from this. And I'm working for a director. And so another film score I did was entirely electronic and very dark. So I can really flex other muscles. It's great.
Amazing. Okay, so...
But now I'm making records again.
Yes, yes. And a third one on... I know we're just absorbing this one, but you do have a third one in the works.
I've started doing some work for the next one. So the idea I came up with was 3 records, all with 3-letter titles. Soul, Body, Mind. So the next one is all about the mind, about the brain, about neural pathways, about craziness. And again, a 3-letter title, so get guessing. All
right, lots to look forward to. We have some questions from the fans here.
Oh, yes, please.
So let's get right to it.
Ask anything.
I guess I'm first.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You're badass. Thank you. I wanted to say that
Thanks,
first.
Man.
I have sort of an obscure question. So when I saw you, I love the song "Heal Over."
Oh,
it's
thank you so much.
One of my favorite songs that you play.
You.
And you play it. I like the live version. You played it slower.
Yes.
And then when I saw you in Fairfield, you play it faster.
Oh,
so
really?
I was wondering, yeah, you played kind of more electronic.
Was it with my beats and electronics and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you're going to do, if you're leaning toward which one, or when you play it
well,
live, or do you play it any more live?
It's interesting with the question of tempo. It's something that is really liberating during a solo show. I don't need to stick to anything. And so some people say, oh, solo shows look really hard. And actually, there's a great emancipation to playing solo because you're not worrying about anybody else. I can talk for 20 minutes and then play a song. And with Heal Over, I love the song, and I was finding it difficult to play as a straight acoustic track. And so I wanted to revisit it in a way that it was kind of tickling me in new ways. And so I worked out this electronic version. With my full solo setup, I've got a little mini Juno keyboard and a little hand sampler, and I use electronic beats, and it's nice to play keyboard instead of guitar and that. So at the moment, that's the version, and the tempo is really just literally how I feel, because nothing's programmed. I just do it live. So
thank you.
If the audience are really fizzy, it's going to be faster.
And I love the new album. I love it.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much. Thank you.
Thanks for that question. Who's next?
Yes, there's a lady there. There's a lady. Oh. Hi.
Hi, Katie. I'm a big fan. My name's
What was your name?
Christine Sweeney.
Christine. Nice to meet you.
I follow you on Twitter. I'm obsessed. And yay.
We've probably chatted.
Yes, a little bit. You liked my post, and I freaked out and called up my friends. So as a fellow songwriter, I can kind of sympathize with this, and so I'm really curious about your answer. A lot of my friends and fans, they'll ask me to play very old songs that I would have never considered my hit. And they're like, that's my favorite one, I love it, and it speaks to me. So I was wondering if there's a song that you've written that wasn't a radio single and you didn't think it would have an impact, but it had a huge impact for people.
Honestly, I would probably say Heal Over. It's the song that so many fans say, thank you, has, I guess, been medicinal for them.
Yeah, for me as well.
Thank you. And that's why I needed to find a way to perform it, because and actually Other Side of the World as well. I was just finding Other Side of the World a bit dull to play. I wasn't enjoying it that much, even though I love the song. And it's just about, I like to honor listening to people what they'd like to hear. You're spending your hard-earned cash on a ticket to come and see me, so I do read what people want to hear. Yeah. And so it's just discovering different ways. And I'm starting to feel that once you go off-piste, it will make you excited to come back again. So it's so...
And I feel like you can appreciate your non-singles catalog so much deeper.
There's another song, actually, I have on an acoustic record called Ashes, which the reason I know why everyone likes it, because I swear there's a major curse line, and I'd come off the mic and everybody shouts it, and everyone loves that one. It's basically a really big middle finger song, and people love that.
Yeah.
We need
Thank
some
you
of
so
those
much.
right now, right? All right, we have time for one last question.
Hello.
Anyone? Oh, hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
So this might not make sense, but I thought it was really interesting what you said kind of about having that moment of looking in the mirror and realizing that everything you had didn't make you happy or mean anything. As someone, I've dealt with some mental health issues and also come from a place of privilege, so I feel like that often can be a little bit weird or hard to navigate.
Makes it trickier.
Yeah, it does. So if you could like talk a little bit more about that process of like realizing that you wanted to throw it all away. And
thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you being honest about where
too.
you're at as well, because it's so helpful for other people when we talk about it. And I think what I slowly was discovering, particularly about songwriting, is that you can sit in your, well, first of all, it's much easier to write a sad song than a happy song, by the way. And the reason being because it's completely accepted, because everybody understands that it's really easy to sit alone and be sad. And when you're happy, you're in the moment. You're going to share it with people, or share it with nature, or share it with, you know, the moment. But you're very introspective when you're down. And you're pensive, and you're thinking about the circumstances. And I think, first of all, what I started to realize was there's probably about 25 million people on this planet who are going through exactly the same thing as I am going through right now. And there's many, many, many millions of those people who are not going to do anything about it.
Right.
And they're just going to carry on, and they're going to accept it. And they're going to stay with someone they don't want to be with, or they're going to put up with behavior from someone towards them that is unacceptable. And they're going to keep on accommodating, and it will grind them down, and then they will die. And I didn't want to be that person. And my father passing, I think, was a big part of that. It really, there was definitely a really beautiful gift in him passing. It was obviously so sad when he went, but it was really this moment of realization of mortality and time, of going, no, I don't have time for this stuff that is not serving well-being for anybody. So that kind of, it was a very, very black and white decision that I'm not going to do that anymore.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for that question. And Katie, thanks for spending so much time and sharing with us today.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's an extension of writing. It's an extension of the transaction and the kind of, I love the electric circuit board of people getting into music, me playing music. It's great.
It's great. And the album's out now. She's also on tour all this fall.
Yes.
So check her out. She's coming to the New York City, too. So.
It's me. And also something I'm really proud of is I'm using all female musicians with this record. So the band.
Yes.
So me, I just found myself, I just kept whinging that there weren't enough women in rock music. And I was like, I'm an employer. I need to employ some. And so it's me, an amazing female drummer called Kat Myers, who's going to come out. We're going to do it White Stripe style.
Nice.
And all across the U.S. So,
and that's great. Stick around because there's going to be a performance. And give it up
yeah.
one more time for Katie
Thank you so
Tunstall.
much.